Hello, everybody. It is a big pleasure to be with all of you today to have another session about arts for sustainable development goals. And I would like to thank all our speakers today for their contribution. And it is a fantastic opportunity today to present, in fact, the different art initiatives and as well their method to assess and understand better the impact on arts and how we can collaborate together specifically to create effective synergies. And to start immediately with our speaker, I would like to start with Judith. And thank you so much, Judith Marcuse, to be with us. And she will present, in fact, a beautiful initiative called Art for Social Change. Thank you, Judith.
Merci à tous. Merci, Isabelle. Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be with you all. Looking forward to the conversations to come. I thought as I was the first speaker, I might sort of position us with a piece or something that I wrote quite recently, which is a sort of positioning piece on art and social change. So if you'll forgive me, I'll just read from this document and then freeform once I'm done reading. So here we go. I fundamentally believe that art making is an essential element for healthy, cohesive, and innovative societies. That a just society recognizes the right to cultural expression in all its forms, inviting citizens to engage in all aspects of the whole interconnected ecology of the arts. We know that creative expression through art making rather than art consumption, although both are equally important, provides us with new ways of experiencing our lives. These processes open up diverse perspectives, clarify and celebrate our relationships with each other and with the world. When we can share our stories, our visions, and realities through all forms of artistic expression, the full spectrum of the arts becomes inclusive and cultural democracy becomes possible. We express our own unique identities and voices, and these perspectives become part of conversations about what matters to us in all our diversity. Our authentic voices must be present in an essential dialogue about where we are headed, especially now. Almost done. Artistic and creative expression contributes to well-being in mental and physical health, social and environmental justice, addressing cultural division, prejudice, and racism, and brings absent voices to the forefront as we recover from current crises and act for more sustainable futures. Cross-sector collaboration is necessary to deepen and sustain the impacts of this work in hospitals, schools, homeless shelters, daycares, seniors' homes, prisons, and in the fight for climate justice. Creative expression becomes a way for us to create hope and action for change. Audiences and consumers of art become participants when they make the art themselves. Worldwide, forms of participatory arts lead to empathy and insight, as well as solutions to often complex problems. So the work I do is Art for Social Change. We have a center, which is a global center for community engaged art for social change. And I want to tell you about one initiative in particular that we're currently providing. It's called the Future Forward Mentorship Program. And what we're doing is matching up mid-career, some early career artists who are doing community engaged work with senior mentors. And we match these pairs with environmental organizations. They work together on 6-month projects, and both the mentor and the mentee are paid. The program has been running only for about 16 months now and has been hugely successful. And because of the COVID situation, we've been able to do things online and develop new methodologies online that have been very, very effective, including connecting people across our vast country, people way up in the north working for people on the east coast of Canada, monthly meetings for the whole cohort. And this kind of exchange for me has been the most effective way to train people to do this kind of work, which I will describe now. We define art for social change as art that is collectively made by groups of people about what matters to them. This process is facilitated by a specially trained professional artist. And these projects often are in partnership with local community change organizations. This work is seen all across the world. I work all across the world, and there are certain principles of the work which seem to be globally underpinning it. These include people are the experts of their own lives, that diversity is an asset, and that every voice needs to be heard. And these principles are truly global and really enable processes that are often more important than the products that come out of these processes, although often the products are amazing because they come from the truth of people who are in the room. And we see the impact of this work in research right around the world, which really indicates the power of art making to change people's lives. I think that's all I want to say right now. Look forward to our exchanges. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judith, for this amazing description of how art can be an effective, way to have social change. And now I would like to give the floor to Kim Berman from South Africa. And she will explain from Art Therapy School of Creative Arts. She's part of the University of Hertfordshire. Thank you, Kim, to be with us, and please, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for your presence.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's a very wonderful initiative, and thank you, Judith, for your presentation and for referring me to Isabelle. It's been a wonderful exchange. Gareth is going to help me with my slides, so if we could share screen, that would be great. I'm going to mostly talk about, I don't think I can operate it, right, Gareth? So maybe if you could just scroll through them, the next one, thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit about our lockdown project. So through Artist Proof Studio, where I work at Artist Proof and the University of Johannesburg, over when the lockdown was announced, Artist Proof Studio responded. Now, Artist Proof Studio there in that slide is a community arts center in Johannesburg, and we work with young artists who can't afford to go to university. We give them space to come and learn printmaking. Maybe the next slide, Gareth, please. And I think next slide, I don't see the slides. Okay. So, and the next one again. When lockdown was announced, Artist Proof realized that a lot of young artists would have a lot of trouble accessing keeping safe during the lockdown, having materials for sanitizers and masks. So the studio went into providing kits for all our students and making sanitizers. And in the next slide, we'll see that we started a project called the Lockdown Collection. And the Lockdown Collection was an initiative started by a businessman called Carl Bates, who invited me and a colleague on the board of Artist Proof Studio to say, let's get artists together to try and raise money to support vulnerable artists. And the idea was the 21 artists represented 21 days of their lockdown, which was the initial lockdown. And next slide will show that I then approached artists whose work is quite well known, and the businessman Carl actually secured funding to underwrite every work. So after 21 days, next slide. Thank you. And that was, so every day a slide was released. This is day 11, which was my work. And the next slide shows that after every day, we released a work, and after 21 days, we put the work on auction and raised 2.5 million rand. And William Kentridge gave this work Whale Tears, which was a poster that raised another 500,000 rand for artists. And we established something called the Vulnerable Artist Fund, which then gave small grants to young artists. And part of the lockdown, as a result of the lockdown collection, the students at Artist Proof Studio and the university developed images during their lockdown for their own portfolio. So young artists who received funding and support from the Vulnerable Artists Fund made work. And these young artists all represented what lockdown was like for them, the kind of challenges of sanitation, of access to clean water. And so we're going to just scroll through a number of young artists' work that started, where we started developing portfolios where artists could respond to the kinds of situations they found themselves in. We then got invited, actually by a friend in Vancouver, to participate in a climate change conference. And the students worked on a green recovery portfolio. These two images are about green recovery, carbon footprint, access to clean water. And I think what was so special is that they really discovered the ability of using their own artwork as a campaign, an activist campaign. And the last campaign we did was on gender-based violence. This young artist, Lungile, basically found himself in a situation of an abusive father, and his mother died during lockdown due to many, many years of abuse. And he and his brother had to somehow find a way of surviving that period. And he did that through his artwork, through the kind of support of the lockdown collection. And I think just to close off the idea of, and I think this is also what Judith was saying, is the the voices. All these artists kind of reveal the wounds of this time. They reflect how COVID has really had us face the kind of inequalities and justice, and they hold up this mirror and they provide us with these moving portraits of strength and resilience. And I think these are conversations that really present us with a deeper way of listening and learning and galvanizing action. So thank you for the opportunity. I hope I didn't exceed my time.
Thank you so much, Kim. It's so beautiful what you have explained, and the power of listening and learning. It's really important, and what we try to use with art. And now I would like to give the floor to Hayley Berman, and thank you so much to be with us today, and she will be able to talk about Lefika, Phodiso, Community Art Counselling and Training Institute. Thank you so much, Hayley, to be with us. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. It is a real honor to be here and to be part of this extraordinary panel of activists and artists, and look forward to sharing our work. And so I'm an art psychotherapist, and I trained in the UK at the University of Hertfordshire, which is actually where I'm currently working as senior lecturer and was program leader. And after I trained as an art therapist there, I came back to South Africa as one of the only art therapists. And it was at the time of Mandela's inauguration and the beginning of a democracy. And what I learned in my training was just the extraordinary power of creativity and group work as a way of transforming my own life, but also just those of others, and developed an art-based group model of practice based on my art therapy training to respond to the aftermath of the trauma of apartheid. So what I want to do is just show you, I'm going to share the screen and just show you, I don't know, oops, let me see if that works. Can you see the slides? So again, I think just following from Judith, talking about art as a way of really engaging in social justice. And I really believe that emotional distress and social injustice are inseparable. And the approach of the work is very much about sort of looking systemically at how we are in the world. So this timeline will show you just what the context was. So that really, I mean, very, very briefly in a graphic form, just talks about Lefika's response to the different moments in South African history, and just really continually adapting and responding to societal needs. So the core methodology was really to train up as many community workers as possible to address the mental health needs post-apartheid. And groups was the way to do that, and using art and creativity is an extraordinary way of really engaging with ourselves, our societies, our capacity to transcend trauma and to give voice to that which becomes hidden and repressed as a result. And we created a new professional category of training called a community art counsellor, which bypassed the need for trainees to have undergraduate qualifications, which our history disallowed. And the training itself was very therapeutic in and of itself. And really, I think it goes without saying that it's one's own personal journey and experience of art making and coming to know oneself that we can then share that self with others in the way we train or work with others. And the model is really sort of collaborative, and part of it is engaging with social entrepreneurial thinking and ensuring that each person that trains can take that into their own community and replicate it. So it's really a language of active citizenship and the belief in groups. And what Fuchs, the group analyst, says is there's no such thing as an individual, only an individual in relation to others. And I think that's what it fosters. And I think what Judith was talking about, the fostering of empathy, which each individual that comes into Lefika's programs, whether it's the children's programs, the open studio spaces, or holiday programs, sort of can experience what it's like to be witnessed and heard, and then be able to do that for others. And this little boy was so proud that he built his house all on his own, and said the thing that was best about his house was the big TV that the whole community could watch, because many people don't have access to TVs. And this house can sleep 1,000 people and feed them all. And that's so much about sort of a sense of belonging, a sense of home, a sense of safety that we've really aimed to keep replicating over the years. And that sense of I'm here, I exist. I don't know how much time I have, but I just want to also show you this short clip.
I think especially with Lefika, we work with a lot of disadvantaged kids that come during Open Studio or one of the many groups that we run. And since our government is like limiting visual arts at school, it's also a big problem. So when they do come and they express themselves and they come to a place where it's safe, it feels safe and you're not being judged, and we describe ourselves as surrogate parents for the afternoon, and to give them a way to relate with adults in a different way, because where they come from, not necessarily a positive role model exists. So that's why they come here and that's how we engage with them.
So, as I said, there are multiple configurations of groups and working with different visual methodologies like photo voice, body mapping, community mapping, mural painting, social dreaming, and exhibitions as a way of also promoting advocacy. This was after the xenophobic violence, where Lefika was the primary psychosocial provider of 900 refugees. And during lockdown, and we've developed and adapted our practice to working online and have been able to reach families across the country. And something that we're really looking to expand on and grow, and have developed a body of knowledge and resources based on the different projects that are, can enable the dissemination and replication of this model. And, we encourage volunteers, we encourage collaboration with different organizations. And, I'm now, no longer director, and it is thriving and transforming continually. But still sort of am on the board. So it's very special to share my work, and hope I didn't go over time.
No, not at all, Hayley. It's so amazing what you have described, and you have demonstrated very well, how you have used a very large range of different methods, and how as well the importance to develop some effective models and to reuse these models. It's so incredible what you have explained. And now I would like to give to go to Brazil and to give the floor now to Claudio Anjo from Iochpe Foundation. I hope I pronounce well, but you can correct me. But I give you the floor, Claudio. Thank you so much for to be with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabelle, and thanks to all the colleagues for the great examples they have been sharing with us. Very inspirational. From us here in Brazil, it's a great honor to be part of this very important group. And I would like to start by saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who is watching us from all over the world. It's a pleasure to be here to share the work we've been doing at the Art at School Institute. We were founded in 1989 with a very specific goal. Our goal is to qualify the teaching of arts within schools all over Brazil by promoting continuous development for basic education teachers. We believe that there is a great opportunity, at least here in Brazil, that people are not taking the necessary attention to it, which is the fact that it's mandatory by law to deliver at least 1 hour of arts teaching per week in all the different levels of basic education. So the students spend 12 years here in Brazil in basic education, having 1 hour per week of arts classes. So we need to qualify this space, which is very important from the beginning. So we start with the first contact that kids have with arts, because we believe that's very important for them. And through arts, we can make students become more interested and connected to school, because arts creates bridges from the inner world to the outside world and develops skills and competences such as empathy, critical thinking, creativity, innovation. They are going to help students to fully develop themselves as citizens. So this is what we're going to do. We've been working only through contemporary Brazilian artists. So this is basically what we do. We work with SDG number 4, which is quality education for all. And we want students to become innovative and creative professionals and citizens prepared to handle their own lives, their risks and their uncertainties when they become adults. So we've been doing this in 3 different ways. So we have 3 big pillars here in Brazil that have been guiding our work throughout these 32 years. The first pillar is related to continuous professional development for our teachers from all over Brazil. Brazil, right now, according to the Ministry of Education, has 570,000 art teachers or teachers who go into a classroom and they have to teach arts. But only 6% of those art teachers have a degree in arts. So it's a great problem because we don't use properly this very important space that we have to transform the lives of students. So only around 28,000 of these 550,000 art teachers have a degree in arts. And to make it even worse, we don't have a fully program that comprises the 4 different art elements that are mandatory to be taught by law here in Brazil, which are visual arts, dance, music, and theater. So in the end, what we found out is that 100% of the art teachers in Brazil that teach within schools, they need to receive a continuous professional development. So we have agreements with 33 different universities located all over Brazil. And within these universities, we have an arts at school classroom. And we bring teachers from public schools, from the federal level, municipal level, state level, to stay with us throughout 1 year to receive these training. We also do it online. So the first pillar is to listen to the teacher, to understand their needs, and to develop courses according to the needs that they give us. So this is the first one. The second one is to produce materials for arts teachers. So we have a selection of books. We have 162 documentaries about contemporary Brazilian artists with materials for art teachers to be used in the classrooms. We have many replications of photographs and works of art that we have the right to distribute to classrooms so that arts teachers can use them. And documentaries. We produce our own documentaries as well. The third pillar that we develop is to give an award to these teachers. So we have the only Arts Teachers Award in Brazil, which has been developed since the year 2000 in partnership with UNESCO. And we select the most innovative and the most brilliant art teacher in Brazil in 5 different categories, from pre-elementary school until adult education, which is very, very important for us because our illiteracy rate in Brazil is hugely high. It's around 8 to 9%. So we also give award to this teacher. And at the end of the year, the project of this teacher becomes a documentary. And we air this documentary in broadcast TV through our YouTube channel. And we also give materials for other art teachers to be working with these documentaries in their own classrooms. This year in 2020, last year actually, we have been working with around 58,000 teachers. We have a digital impact because we have the only arts teachers portal here in Brazil. So we have digitally impacted around 200,000 teachers. And we have impacted 40 million children within the Brazilian schools. So it's a great opportunity for us to be here. I would love to share more of our work and experience throughout these 32 years. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for the colleagues. And I'm here to talk to all of you by the end of this meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Claudio. It's so important what you say about education, and specifically, how you have described very well, continuous professional development, and specifically in the art area, and the link between, for example, Minister of Health and Minister of Education, how it is important to have this bridge. And it is very concrete what you have described with the large impact you are doing with your institute. And thank you so much for that. And I would like to give now the floor to Karen Workman from Muse da Pessoa. From Brazil as well. And thank you so much, Karen, to be with us today. And the floor is yours.
Thank you, Isabelle. It's a great pleasure to be here. And thank you for the invitation. Thank you, Howard, for the bridge. We have had amazing conversations before this meeting. And I think it's a great opportunity to change with you all our works. I am going to start talk. I'm a historian, and I'm the director and founder of Museu da Pessoa, which is Museum of the Person. And I would like to start talking about making a small reflection with you about the connections between memory and art. Let me see if I can share my screen. Is that all right? Is it shareable? Can you see it? Yes. Here. So, is that okay? So, I would like to start thinking that since the beginning, memory and art are really connected. For example, in the Greek mythology, Mnemosyne, which was the goddess of memory, she had 9 daughters, and they were poetry, history, music, theater, tragedy, and comedy, and astronomy. And I think this has a lot to say about the commonality between memory and art is because memory maybe is the source of all kinds of art. Another, during the medieval epoch in Europe, for example, memory was thought as a composition, as a source of creation and invention. And the oral tradition of it was to use figures and to put tips on the ideas and about the Bibles and Psalms, and that people and big thinkers like Tomás de Aquino, they would go to these figures and go to this palace of memories and recreate and create new things. And here in Brazil, there is a say of one of our biggest thinkers and major leaders indigenous that in an interview he had given us, is that in his people tradition, that memory is the way that is the tradition is passing through dreams. So memories and dreams and art are all coming together in one sense. So what we do connecting memory and art is thinking the Museu da Pessoa, Museum of the Person, that everyone, every person is an intangible heritage of our society. Everyone through his and her life story is this heritage. So the art of telling your own story, of recreating your own experience and creating a new narrative of yourself is the first start that we've been working. The second way of doing and playing with art and memory is the art of listening. So the museum is a virtual museum, and we create and recreate all these narratives through offering them for people to listen or to reading or to watching a video. So it's the idea that to create your own story is art, but listening to other person's story is also an art that nowadays we have really forgotten, because we are so fulfilled of information, so fulfilled of talking, that we are really as a society really not this learning on how to listen. And the other thing we do is stories become art. So we create in a collaborative way exhibitions like this one, which is called Black Lives. It's through others' memories, through our archive, to offer the public open exhibitions that would transform the stories and the images and the experience in open exhibitions of stories. And to finish, the art of healing. Why telling your story? Why listening to a story is art and is memory. And it's a global thing that we can do. Every human being has a story to tell. Every human being has a story to listen. And every human being is born and is going to die. So the idea of having the opportunity to share and create your own story is vital, and is even vital to think about your life, but also to think about your death. And this is healing. This is a way of reorganizing your and understanding and deepening your comprehension about yourself, about your collectivity, our community, but also about the historical context that deal with us all. So this is what we do. Museu da Pessoa is a virtual and collaborative museum of life stories. And through these last 30 years, we have collected more than 18,000 life stories in Brazil, and 4,000 of them were sent by users in our portal. We have developed more than 300 memory projects and training around 60,000 students, teachers at public schools on how to use our methodology to create their own memory projects. And that's thank you. And I wait to talk more when we start our debate.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen, and it's extraordinary what you are doing, and specifically, I think the art of healing with story is absolutely critical and need to be in the center of what we can do in terms of the methods, to use art and to promote the use of art in the world. And what you have mentioned about the impact is incredible. You have the figure tell everything about the impact. And thank you again for this fantastic way to give the voice, in fact, to the people through art. And now I would like to use the opportunity to give now the floor to Debs Tell. And thank you so much, Debs, to be with us. And she will explain, but she's advocate of creativity in health, and she will explain to us how art have really transformed the life of her. And she's as well a trustee of at the National Center for Creative Health. But she will tell us more. The floor is yours, Debs, and thank you so much again to be with us today. It's such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the wonderful opportunity. And hearing the stories is just music to my ears, if you'll pardon the pun. And my story is very different because I'm somebody who's benefited from the use of art. So I'm one of the end products of what all these people are talking about. My journey started from the age of 8. I entered into the mental health system. It was very primitive way back then. And I continued on a cocktail of medication, counselling, therapies, until about 10 years ago when the psychiatrist told me that I would always be ill, I would always be medicated, and I would never work again. And I believed him because he had the answer to my problems. He was the expert. And at that point in time, I was on 21 tablets a day. I was often bedbound because of my illness, and my children were my carers. So to me, I'd been given a terminal life sentence, and I didn't really want to live with that terminal life sentence. So I ended up taking an overdose. Obviously, I was found, and part of being discharged from hospital was that I was referred to psychology. And whilst I was sat in the psychology waiting room for the assessment, I saw a leaflet, Creative Minds, Art for Wellbeing. I'd never done art before. I don't know why I picked the leaflet up, but I picked the leaflet up. And I went to a taster session. And at that taster session, I got fire in my belly. Something in me came alive. It made me want to live. It made me feel like I had something that I needed to keep going for. So spring on 10 years. I've been off all medication for 9 years. I've been out of services for 5.5 years. And I work in the same NHS trust as that expert who told me I'd never work again for. And it's given me such an opportunity to transform my life. And when I say art saved it, it really did. When I went to that psychology assessment, I was put on a 19-month waiting list. I still wanted to die. If I hadn't have found this art class, I wouldn't be here today. And I talk very much about people having a voice and a choice in their care, because for 40 years I never did. I was just nothing but a patient number and a statistic in the system. And I want everybody to be able to have a voice, to be able to have a choice, and to look at what they can do in their life, to be empowered to do more than what they're led to believe in. Now, I've sold quite a few pieces of artwork. It took me about 5 years to stop calling myself a service user and to start calling myself an artist. It was quite an identity change because when you've only ever been known as one thing, it's difficult to get past that. But I've got past that, and I'm doing lots of great things. I'm promoting social prescribing in our country, really promoting it because I believe in it. I know it works. I'm evidence. I'm here today because it works. I want people to be able to have that choice, because in the UK, usually the things you get offered are counselling and medication. Both have horrendous side effects. And many people who start counselling don't finish it because it's too painful. The only side effect with the art class I did was I got paint on me. Well, I can live with that. That's a side effect that's worth living with. And it's about making sure that everybody gets a choice. It doesn't have to be art. It can be anything creative, you know, music, dance, knitting, anything that takes your fancy. And that's the beauty of it. It's not limited to one thing. There's so many options. There's so many ways of being able to deal and give people things. And being told that there was never no recovery in mental health, and I believed it, and lots of people do still believe it. And 2 years ago, I did mental health recovery and social inclusion at a really inspiring university, which you've heard from earlier, University of Hertfordshire. And I was never told, I was never led to believe that recovery was possible. Not only is it possible, but you can squash those ceilings, you can get through. I've done things that I never ever believed were possible for somebody like me, an invisible service user, somebody with no voice and no choice in the system. Now I've found a voice, and I want to give everybody a voice. So I'm really inspired by the people who are telling stories from their countries on how they're giving people a voice and a choice and how it's working, because I know it works. And I want to personally thank each and every one of you for helping people like me to live a better life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, that's for this very important testimony, you know, and specifically how art is absolutely, you know, critical, you know, to find, you know, your own pathway of resilience, and you have described that so well, and I think it's so important to be able to give directly the voice, you know, to the people, you know, and how they have used, in fact, art in their life to find their resilience pathway. Thank you so much for your intervention, Debs. And I would like to give the final floor to Gareth. And after that, we will have a session together to about specific question, how, for example, we can really synergize the different initiatives you have mentioned and you have present today. But first, I will ask to Gareth to give us some information about, you know, how as well WIMS is very supporting to the project. Thank you. We cannot hear you, Gareth.
Hi, there we are. Thanks a million, Isabelle. What a fantastic insight into what opportunities they are for the arts to support people's health and well-being. Deb's giving a personal story and sharing that with us. Thank you very much. And, you know, it really does show the power and the value that we are missing as an opportunity. Hopefully we can articulate that so that the powers that be can support the recovery from COVID-19 and tap into this resource, which is enormous. I mean, being able to support 40 million children in Brazil is just phenomenal work. And I'm sure that's the case right across the board. We do this day in, day out. But I hope we can demonstrate the evidence base as well behind this. And I know it's there. I mean, we all are well aware of it. It works. But I think it's our jobs as administrators, managers, professionals within the service to actually show what it means in terms of economic value. And I think COVID has been a real leveler. We can see quite clearly that we need to be outside and we need to have this interaction as social individuals. And the arts is just a perfect example of a way and a means of improving our health and well-being while creating economic growth, for example. So I think this is such a profound session. And I very much look forward to being able to support the work and amplify this through the Sustainable Development Goals, using SDG 3, quality education, and various ways of collaborating across the space. I know there's some sessions coming up. The G20 meets at the end of the month. And they're always looking. We have to look now, how do we create new jobs, those who have lost their jobs? There's a huge opportunity in social prescribing, as Debs has mentioned, to demonstrate the opportunity to create new and meaningful jobs in this space. So it's about ourselves getting creative, looking at a new way of working, valuing health and well-being for what it is. I mean, we have many examples that we've just gone through about demonstrating how that improves our overall health and well-being through these creative activities. So I hope us working collaboratively can demonstrate that and amplify this message. That's from me, all I wish to say. I'm just here to support, and Howard may want to have some wise words to share also.
Thank you, Gareth. Howard, the floor is yours.
No, I'm just so impressed with the presentations, the common theme of art giving voice to people, of empathy, and I thank all the speakers. They're truly wonderful, and I'm honored to walk on the planet at the same time as they do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Howard. And I propose we can have just a session together to answer the question, what is your vision, to all of you, to collaborate, with each other. And as well, how you can, what is your vision, how we can interconnect all our this fantastic initiative together. And for example, from the program Art Impact for Health, the idea it is as well to set up in June a global research group, about the impact of art on well-being, and specifically how that is useful to find, the way for about our own resilience, in fact. And I would like to know more about your idea, how this collaboration can be done, and specifically between all these amazing initiatives you have mentioned now. Judith, you want to start with your vision? You are mute.
I'm 74. Our organization is 41 years old. My vision is about legacy now, and about networking and coalitions. I come from a mainstream arts background. I was with the Royal Ballet in London, became a choreographer, and then moved into this area, which is my home, largely, I think, because my parents were activists, and I grew up with the notion that change is possible. One of the things I'm very interested in right now, and which I hope will be carried into the future by people who come after me, and we're doing mentorships and expanding our work with younger artists in other ways, is that there will be more conversations between artists doing this change work and other sectors doing that change work. So at the political level, at the strategy level, at the policy level, to connect artists with environment, with social justice, with the health sector, with immigrant settlement, with conflict resolution. All of these strategies in many contexts leave out the arts, when we're so badly needed right now to solve some of the very challenging problems we've got. And art making has this incredible impact for individuals and for communities. And we've seen how change can happen. I just think that the cross-sectoral conversations that artists can facilitate is an opportunity that is sitting right in front of us right now and needs to be used. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you so much, Judith. It's very important what you say, and definitively it's critical to have, I will say, artists involved to present specifically in artistic way these societal challenges. And as well, what you describe about the cross-sectorial approach is what we want to promote, with this initiative, in fact. Now I would like to know, Kim, what is your perspective? What is your vision for this cross collaboration?
Well, I so resonate with what Judith had to say. I mean, she's somebody who's inspired me and my work, and her vision of art as advocacy that crosses boundaries, that goes beyond the arts. I mean, I'm an art teacher, and I understand the value of arts to young artists and how the art has changed their lives and given them agency and the belief in themselves that they can make change in the world. But I think alongside the voice that Debs and other people have spoken about is having a voice to create change, to see yourself as an agent. I'm also a firm believer that every discipline in health, and I'm so inspired by the fact that this panel is offered by the World Health Organization, and so that there's a recognition that the arts can contribute to health and well-being. I think arts can save lives in many ways. And I think the examples I gave around climate change and green renewal, seeing the opportunity for a different kind of future, a post-COVID future, but that has to do with a renewal, with a different kind of imaginative future. Artists help people imagine a different reality and not just see what feels like a negative view of the world. Artists can help people move themselves out of despair, out of poverty, because you can imagine. And I think in that way, the arts need to impact on all sectors of life and disciplines, because that's where change can happen. And I'm inspired to see how we can work together across disciplines for that to happen. So thank you for the sharing from everybody, and to think about that kind of impact that art is having in schools, is in Brazil and elsewhere is very inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. And effectively, I think art is fantastic, because it's a way to bring all these sector and disciplines, together. And I think we need to really explore this aspect more in depth together. And thank you again for this important point, Hayley. I will give you the floor to share with us your vision, about this collaboration together.
Thank you. It has been the most inspiring panel, and I think also just hearing Deb's your experience in the UK and me having transitioned from South Africa to the UK, I think there's just such a need to demedicalize mental health. And art is the best way to do that. And sort of being able to, I mean, my passion is really around recognizing how groups and group psychotherapy in combination with image making, that capacity to dream, to allow our unconscious to just run wild with absolute no censorship, to, I think, as Kim said, imagine and dream, and sort of to make use of our dreams and our images and our creativity to start to engage and create a new world, a new reality that has no boundary or limit. And I guess it's a way in which we can address complexities of class, race, gender, in a way that is democratic and collaborative. And I think my vision would be to try and find models of best practice from all of us and sort of see how we can create spaces to just equip and empower more and more people, to facilitate spaces that are safe enough for people to discover who they are. And the more we can be held and taken care of, we can begin to take care of others. So I guess it is about replicating safe spaces to create together, talk together. And I think that thing about listening really resonated with me. I think it is the art of, just as much as it's about creating, it's about listening to one's creations and witnessing and feeling like we all belong through that process of relationship. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Hayley, for this beautiful, way to describe, how we can start, in fact, to work together, and specifically what you say about how we can identify, what are the key best practices and build on that. I think it's very important, and I think it's as well the way to start this effective collaboration with all of us. And now I would like to give the floor to Claudio for the vision of him. Thank you.
Thanks, Isabelle, and thanks to all the colleagues for the very inspiring speaking that you've given us. I think from my standpoint, since I work with arts and education, I have to be positive. I have to think positively, because otherwise it will be impossible for us to keep moving forward with our work. And I truly believe this is a great opportunity for us to share best practices and to strengthen our work together, because I truly believe that together we can do much more. We can think creatively. We can think of other solutions. We have, since we work in Brazil with basic education, we have the privilege to listen to teachers, art teachers, and students from the beginning of their lives about the problems they have and how we can, through art, work through those problems so that they don't become even bigger problems in the future. And we have lots of situations here to share with colleagues from our work with immigrants from Venezuela in the north of Brazil, to the Black population and racial discrimination in the north, northeast, and the south of Brazil. And we have the benefit and the privilege to work with those types of issues from the beginning through our art classes. I'm very positive as well, because in 1916, the OCDE has issued a document that says it's titled Art for Art's Sake, and the World Economic Forum in 2018 has recognized the need for creativity, innovation for the future of work. In 2018, the NHS from the UK has allowed doctors to prescribe art classes for patients as part of the treatment. And now the WHO, opening up its doors for us to discuss art as part of mental health. So I think COVID has given us a great opportunity for all mankind to understand that without art, we wouldn't be able to survive these pandemics. It will be completely impossible to survive it without the books, without the movies, without the spectacles and the things we've been seeing through internet. So it's a great opportunity for us to get this theme and move forward with it alongside with everyone here together. So I'm very excited. I think we can truly make a difference. We can share practice. We can inspire others. We can invite other countries to work together with us. So I think from the economic side, we already had the recognition that we needed. Now from the social side, we also have this recognition. We just need to join forces and work together. So I'm proud to be part of this group, and I'm very open to any type of collaboration. I think we're going to have a very bright future ahead of us.
Thank you so much, Claudio, and I am agree with you. And I just the beginning, and it's so important what you say to bring all the countries, in fact, together through the vision and the power of art. I think it's very beautiful to remove boundaries, what you have described, all of you so well. And I will now give the floor, in fact, to Karen, to know the vision and specifically this importance of listening, people, giving the voice to the people. Thank you, Karen, for to share with us your vision.
Merci, Isabelle. Merci. I think that we are living in a very unique time. It's not the unique moment of the world that we have a pandemic. We have had more, like the Spanish flu or the Black Peste Negra, I don't know the name in English, but that killed, or even in Americas, the flu was a pandemic that killed 2/3 of the continent before Europeans arrived. So what is unique about this moment? This pandemic was lived in the same moment because we are connected. And so it was fast and connected in time. So what does this tell us? I think this tells us not that we are going to become a better society. I am a historian and I really don't believe in that. I think that history and societies are in a constant struggle, and some things become better and others worse. For example, we do agree in our whole society now that slavery is a horrifying thing. 100 years ago, we didn't agree on that. There were countries that had official slaves. Now we do still have slavery, but it's unofficial. So it's time is not a linear, evolution is not linear. So what choice do we have, and what opportunities we have as a group here? I think we are living on a health pandemic, but on a mental pandemic too. So there is a problem that has come back to what we say, which is what we do in such a connected society, but that we lost the simple resources of listening, of becoming quiet, of doing inner work, of comprehension. We are losing that. The same technology that helped us to find a vaccine in less than a year is the same technology that are drowning us and making us lose ourselves. So this, I think, is the scenario we are in. What is my vision of this collaboration? I think that art, health, and in that memory, as I have said, it's very important to struggle for better. And I don't know that if we are going for better times, but we can give our energy to that. So I would bet on research, collaboration and research. I think we find a way of investigating social change, impact, art, and how can these really become public policies in schools, governments, and even health and art directions. I think this can empower, and then we can make a real contribution. So finalizing, I would say, yes, let's share, let's connect, let's try to build a network. But I would do it around investigation, research, and then as a group, and as we have here, a whole and a global organization, how we can do that to impact public policies in the world. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much, and I think it's so important what you say about how we will really impact public health policy, because it is exactly what we need to as well to demonstrate. And for example, in the research, side, how all together we can show, art is very important. The impact is here. We need to invest on that, and in different sector, and we can do it only all together. Not one sector can do it. It is really the effective way we will build, in fact, this type of not just networking, but collaboration, in fact, and as well, I will say co-creation, co-creativity. I think it is critical, and specifically art is very useful to do that. But thank you again for this very important point. And I will give you now the voice to Debs. And what do you think about our work together, joint work, and what we can do, Debs, to improve the life of each people on this planet, and as well your extraordinary experience. Your pathway is so critical and important, and how we can give more voice to the person like you, in the world. Thank you for your vision.
Well, my vision is that every single person gets a chance to do whatever they want, gets a chance to have that voice, to be able to not only do that if they want, but be able to excel at it if they want. And the arts and creativity, it isn't caught by the barriers of a verbal language. It's so universal. You can all dance together. You can all paint together. You can all draw together. It's not bounded by a lot of the other things that universal across the countries is caught up by. And we need to look at how and why we can work together in a more efficient and effective way. Now, a lot of the barriers that we face in the UK are financial barriers onto allowing this to happen. Now, in my case, we did a social investment on return, and the 19 months that I did for the art class cost less than 1 year's medication alone. And that doesn't include all the other services that were involved in my life. So we are saving money because I'm no longer in that system. I've been in it over 40 years. I was costing the NHS an extortionate amount of money. If we can replicate that by each person, by each country, by each process, and just give people that chance to, I mean, I use the term thriving, not just surviving, because my life before that, I was just surviving. I was surviving minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, week by week. And I didn't feel like I had any quality of life. Now I feel like I've got such a valuable life, and I want to give back to other people. I want other people to have this life that I feel I've been given by this art class. I want people to feel that they've got hope and aspirations where there wasn't any in my life prior to this art class. I want people to feel passionate, and I mean, I can see and feel the passion with all the people and the speakers. And, you know, it's so important that we continue this journey, but not only continue it, we replicate it, we make it available to more and more people. So my vision is to give every single person a voice, to give every single person a choice. And by working together, we can reach more people to get more voices and more choices out there.
Thank you so much, Debs, for this so important, expression of this collective, movement we need to reach, and it's so important to initiate, this I will say creative design movement together to bring more and more people on board, and for them to explore all their potential and possibilities. And I would like really to thank all of you, for this amazing discussion, and sharing. And I think it's just the beginning, in fact, of something very beautiful and powerful. And we will come back to all of you and to, again, it's just the beginning of this process. And we will definitively bring all the key best practices need to be compiled, together. And to finish this session, this amazing session, I will give you again the floor to Gareth, if you want to tell us, some words to finish this panel. Thank you, Gareth.
Thanks, Isabelle. What an inspiring way to finish the week. It's just been truly wonderful to hear the stories, to hear the vision, and to see the passion as well right across the board here. And it's so great that we can unite through digital platforms as well to be able to amplify that message. I think key message is here that we work together, and it's an invitation. I think this is a real invitation to global communities to come together, to work together, to use the Sustainable Development Goals as a way and a means to provide that future. What sort of future do we want to create for the next generation? What legacy do we want to lead? Can we create future platforms? Let's look at the platforms that we have at the moment, the ones that we know, the big technology ones, the ones who have come out of this pandemic making huge, enormous amounts of money. What will their future legacy be? Will they invest that money back into creating new and meaningful jobs? Will they support the arts? If they don't, can we create new platforms? The ones that we can grow, that have ethics, that have values, that are interested in supporting social change. We are the ones who invest in these companies. So we are the ones that provide that economic boost. So we can follow the models of the past and then create these future platforms. And that's very much our opportunity. And that's really what we're trying to achieve with our partners, WHO, National Academy of Social Prescribing, UNGSII Foundation, World Health Innovation Summit, ASOCA. We're working right across the spectrum. There's so many partners. But now the action, we have to take action. We know what comes after COVID. Listen, the health service is under immense pressure. By 2030, we'll be 18 million staff short. Okay, so the COVID pandemic is a crisis, absolutely. But what comes next? How do we alleviate the pressure on the system? Debs has given fantastic information. Everyone has been sharing the wealth of knowledge here. How do we alleviate that pressure on the system and create this new environment, this new vibrant environment that we can create around SDGs in the future? So I'm like everyone here, full full of optimism, as Claudio explained in Brazil. We have this massive opportunity. We have these platforms that we can use. We have models, business models. Really, it's just about ourselves. We have to ask the question, why do we not do this? And this is what we have to bring our creative spirit together, to bring people together, to create new and meaningful jobs, as I mentioned. Cities have been damaged, and communities have been damaged. But look, we have wisdom, we have knowledge, we know how to solve these problems. So let's get on with it and let's do it. Let's become creative. They're my final words, just to say we'll pop the links up from everyone who's spoken in the chat box so people can connect with us. We're online, hashtag WHIS, WHO, SDGs. Follow us online. Myself and Isabelle and colleagues are there. And we very much look forward to engaging with you over the next few weeks, months, years. This is a 2030 agenda. Remember, we have to get moving. And that's my final message, is an invitation to come and join us, and we look forward to working with you. So I'll close it, and just thanks to the panel, thanks to all the speakers, thanks to everyone who's listened. Thoroughly enjoyed this session, and we look forward to doing it again. We'll follow up on this, and our actual next session is on social prescribing in Portugal next week, and then we're at the World Humanitarian Forum, and then of course the Global Solutions at the end of the month with the G20, where we will pitch these solutions to global leaders, so on how we create a sustainable healthcare model. So thanks very much, and do join us for our next session. Thanks everyone, and bye-bye.